everyone. It is an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this conversation. In the spirit of collaboration and progress, it is my pleasure to introduce two remarkable individuals who are driving global action in health, equity, and sustainability. First, the Director General of the World Health Organization. He's the first person from the WHO African region to lead the organization and brings with him a legacy of transformative work. As Ethiopia's former Minister of Health and Foreign Affairs, he is joined by the CEO of the French Development Agency and the Chair of Finance in Common, who played a key role in aligning public development banks around SDGs in the Paris Agreement. He also co-hosted the 2024 Paris Summit alongside the IOC. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Tedros and Remy Roux. Remy, good morning. You played a key role in organizing the Paris 24 Summit on Sports for Sustainable Development. Nearly a year on, what would you say has been the standout achievement of the summit? And looking ahead, what needs to happen now to keep that momentum going, especially with the current challenging global context?
Thank you, Benny, and good morning, everybody. Yes, I had a dream back in 2015, a few months before Paris 24 was awarded to France, which was to have this kind of moment we're in Paris and now in Lausanne. And I really fondly remember our first meeting, President Bach. I think it was in January 2020, just before COVID erupted. And then we discussed SDGs and all this agenda and the journey of IOC and all of us. And then you made that landmark speech. I think it was July 2020. And that was really the turning point, really at the heart of the pandemic. Dr. Tedros was also alerting us, all of us, and you really put sports as a key contribution for health and for sustainability. And then 2021 was the faster, higher, stronger, together motto, which was also such an important change. And so from this message I got, we prepared with your team. I want to, of course, mention the role of Christophe, Marie, Christian, James, Oli, Katia, also Tony, Sophie of Paris 2024, my AFD team. We patiently prepared this moment last July, also with the support of all, my president is here, all Olympism 365 members created at that time as well. And we made it. I think we made it. We had a significant result in Paris that I want to remind all of you. A decathlon of political commitments that have now to be satisfied by governments in the discussion with NOCs, of course, at country level. We had the very strong contribution of the sports world. The increase of the Olympic solidarity was instrumental, but we had also commitments of pitches by thousands by FIFA and also by the NBA on stage in Paris. And yes, Antonella is here. The financial sector also committed to support, to accompany and to invest in the Sports for Development agenda. A year after, I think we made significant progress. The President reminded us on the political side, the Summit for the Future, I think was a milestone. and also the G7, headed by Italy. We have pilot countries with FIFA, especially Rwanda, Comoros, Benin, where we are already built, I think, about 20 mini pitches in schools. And we have, yesterday, the Global Partnership on Education was meeting in Paris, and we are trying to connect FIFA with all the investors in education. And the NBA, Clara McKenzie, colleagues are also working very hard to deliver their pledge. I want to highlight also the research side, which is very important. We know the role of UNESCO, we know CAF. Juan Pablo is around preparing important reports about impact, measuring impact, again to convince investors that they can unlock that potential. And I also want to highlight the role of President Ajay Banga of the World Bank. We are preparing for next year in Dakar a report on the impact of sport for the development in Africa. Madam President, we know what your foundation and your leadership in this regard. And last, but maybe I will come to that later, I can explain what's happening on the financial side. What we need now to keep the momentum growing is certainly an action plan. So I hope these 2 days of hard work all together will help us set this action plan with KPIs attached, strong commitments, and we need a timeline. We need a timeline to make it grow, so make this kind of events regular. Of course, we have Cortina coming, we have Dakar, of course, so important. And we have Los Angeles. I was there last month. A lot of interest also from the organizers about this agenda. And Brisbane, I think Brisbane is very interested on the biodiversity, especially priority. And of course, in between, we have, you will come back in France for the Alps. We're very honored by it. And so you will ask us if we delivered what we committed in Paris by 2030. We certainly intend to be at the rendezvous of what we decided all together. Thank you.
As you mentioned, Remy, we have a couple of important months ahead with Miko and also Dakar coming up. But Dr. Tedros, at the Paris summit last year, you issued a strong call for leadership and teamwork to help sports and physical activity go further as a driver for better health. With non-communicable diseases projected to rise, the WHO itself warning of growing mental health issues, your message feels even more urgent and more undeniable. Could you share with us some standout examples of the kind of leadership and action you want to see more of, particularly as we head towards the next global meeting on NCDs and mental health?
Thank you. Thank you, moderator. I thought I have something here. Thank you, moderator, and thank you, Prime Minister, for joining us. Very nice to meet you again, and thank you for your leadership. And also thank you, my brother Thomas, for bringing us all together. And also welcome to Christy, and the first female and the first African. So, and I'm the first African, by the way, for WHO, so we have one in common. Maybe just want to give, what Remy said, give some background before I get to the question. We signed an MOU with Thomas in 2020. And then I think it's, so he was mobilizing, I think, everybody. So he was, and at the same time. And he came to WHO with 2 bicycles. And he left one of the, both bicycles actually, the standing bicycles in WHO. One of them I use, still in my office. So he influenced me even in becoming physically active every day. But that's how it started, our relationship, agreeing on the impact of sport on health. After people are already unwell, you will spend a lot to treat them. But that's a sign of failure. Why not you prevent it from happening? And that means promoting healthy lifestyle. And one of them is physical activity. And there are other things, no smoking, not drinking alcohol, and other things that you can do to live a healthy lifestyle. So it resonated with us, and we said to Thomas, of course, we should really work together closely. And then immediately there was a challenge, as you remember. The challenge was the whole world was under lockdown. And the Olympic was supposed to be in 2020, and it had to move actually to 2021. Even 2021 was the height of the pandemics. And then we discussed with Thomas, and we mobilized our colleagues, and we started preparing toolkits on how to conduct a safe Tokyo Olympic, which we did. You may remember then, I think, after, things have already behind us, we forget. But probably that's one of the most important things in your legacy, to be honest. I remember the pressure on you and how a campaign was mounting to really not do the Olympic. But you have shown courage, and we followed you also, and we supported to have the Olympic in 2021. I think conducting that Olympic was very, very important for two reasons. One, the athletes came together and competed, even new records. Of course, spectators and fans were not in the stadiums, which was the sad part, but the whole world was watching. And many people told me later that when we saw that, we saw hope. That's what they said. We saw hope. And it's after that Olympic, actually, the opening up of the world started. And by 2022, we started to really open up, early 2020. But 2021, it's already started. So people saw hope. And I remember also that's the first time when we had strong messages on health and sport, on whether it's on smoking, drinking, and so on. When we talk about the platform of IOC, it's not just to promote physical activity only, but to increase awareness and to tell whoever is watching, billions of people throughout the world, how to lead a healthy lifestyle. So these were the two, and was the beginning of our partnership as well, which was challenged from the very beginning. Not only IOC, but WHO was also criticized for joining to have that Olympic. But it started in a very difficult situation, and like gold, tested with fire, and then ever since we're working together, and it's growing from strengths to strengths. So that question, when coming to the question, this is about leadership. So strong leadership, which you said, is very important, without which I don't think we would have come together, and credit goes to Thomas. And the current non-communicable disease situation globally calls for a strong leadership. You know, more than 70% of premature deaths are due to NCDs. This is not high-income countries, middle-income countries, or low-income countries, all income levels. It's NCDs which is killing more people than any other disease. And this is, as you know, diabetes, it's cancer, it's cardiovascular diseases. And annually, if you want me to put it in figures, 17 million people are dying prematurely under the age of 70. If you can't have leadership on this, what would you have leadership for? That's the question. And if you can't invest in promoting health first, that's the first step, then what else would you do? Building hospitals, white elephants is not going to help us. The key is in promoting health, in the food we eat. It's in the air we breathe. It's in the environment we live in. And our own personal behavior, whether we exercise or not, whether we smoke or not, whether we drink or not. If we control this, of course some of them are beyond our control, and Prime Minister is here. Air pollution, no one has to do anything as individual citizens. I think it has to be the government and other institutions that could help, and environment the same. But if we can address this, people can stay healthy. And that's what should be our target. In WHO, the first pillar is healthy populations. We should first focus on helping people to stay healthy. Treating them after something happened is actually a sign of failure. It's after the event has happened, after the damage had happened. So we have to invest in health promotion, in disease prevention, and that's why health and sports.
Thank you so much. Remy, one of the biggest hurdles in unlocking sports' full potential for sustainable development is financing. The UN puts the annual shortfall for meeting the SDGs at around $4 trillion, which is a huge amount. How do we make sure sports gets the support it needs to play its part?
Well, regarding development finance and international cooperation, we all know we are in deep trouble. Dr. Tedros heading WHO, myself heading AFD, we face it on a daily basis. Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Commissioner, we know the whole world somehow is turning to Europe, waiting for our decision about it by the European Council end of June, both on development and climate, actually, before the Belém COP30 in Brazil, and also before July and the MFF decision that you will have to take. It's very difficult, of course. Europe overburdened by expectations, but really conveying to both of you what I'm feeling from many countries I'm visiting, and probably President and President-elect could also convey this message. I think we will lose probably about $60 billion ODA in one single year, which is unprecedented probably. It's 1/3 of the total. So it will have impact on the most vulnerable. It will have impact on especially health, education, social sectors. It will have an impact also on what we are talking today about, because sometimes it's not what I think, but sometimes having sport inserted in development activity is still considered as not that serious, I would say. We know the impact, we know the evidence, but in times of high pressure, like what we are living this year, we have to join forces to protect this treasure, this agenda we built together. It's not something. It's something that is structural, that is happening. That's really my experience, my personal belief. With due respect, the ODA narrative, the ODA framework, born in the 1960s, at times of independence, is going maybe more rapidly than what we thought. And we are waiting. We need a new anchor, a new framework, and we're in a journey, and we don't know exactly what this new framework. Certainly, something I would say, from assistance to investment, to sustainable, inclusive investment, what we are talking about here. And we need a framework that would provide a guarantee for the most vulnerable, impacted by poverty and climate change together, to leave no one behind. That's the 2015 message. And we also need a pot of finance for global commons, for health, for climate, for biodiversity, for sustainable IA. I mean, all we know we are challenged by, and where we need a universal effort mobilizing public and private together like never. And we need a new architecture to make it happen, to deploy if we have more ambition. And that's what we proposed. I come back to Finance in Common, this initiative we launched also in 2020, which is the gathering of the 530 plus public financial institutions, public development banks in the world, all over the place. Of course, multilateral, the World Bank, the MDBs, but up to national. Zef is here representing DBSA in South Africa. And this is this vast, seamless architecture, I think, that is able to originate and deploy and mobilize private all together. It's already 2.5 trillion US dollar investments a year. So we're into the trillions and not the billions. Question is, are we able collectively and our leaders to guide this financial firepower in the right direction, green and not brown, up to the most vulnerable places or not? And to conclude, I really think all of us here in this room and the sports world can play a crucial role, prominent role in this redefinition. Because it still comes as a surprise that we are meeting. Because of course you will help us rejuvenate, renew this old more than 50 years framework we are living on, and because I think we are able to deliver what we are doing for education, the CESLA program with Olympic Solidarity, what we are doing with AFD on youth prevention crime in the ASEAN region with Olympic Solidarity, what we are doing with Helios Partners, I mean a very important investment fund, soon to close a $75 million US dollar investment fund to build arenas in Africa, because Africa is missing the places to, you know Benny very well, so we're close to it. And I want to thank IFC, Proparco and Helios for this result that was announced in Paris, and now we will deliver. And of course, research. And maybe last point is, and plea is really to make Dakar a massive success. I think if we are talking about development, vulnerability, climate, we have a clear deadline 1.5 years from now. I met with Diania Dia and Ibrahim Awad yesterday in Paris. I think they're really up to the task. Infrastructure are building up. We are co-investing actually with IOC and AFD about 200 million US dollar together to make it a huge success. And I really want to thank the trust of the Senegalese authorities, the Senegalese government, which is so important. And I really think something very special can come from Dakar. It's the Youth Olympic Games. It's the first ever, crazy as it seems, Olympic event in a region where 1 out of 3 youngsters, meaning sportsmen, sportswomen, will come out by 2050. And so my dream in 2015 was to make Paris 2024. I proposed the Sustainable Development Games, the SDGs, les JODD, les Jeux Olympiques du Développement Durable. We made a very good progress in Paris, thanks to your leadership, President Barr, and all of you. Maybe Dakar could be, and you know, President Faye announced that he will organize an event like this about sport for sustainable development during the Dakar Olympics, and maybe at a time it could even become, like culture, a specification for future Olympics. I don't know, it's really up to IOC members. But just to say that we can do more, momentum is growing, and we have a clear timeline before us. Thank you.
Thank you, Remy, and great news on the work that's going on in Africa. We have limited time because Anna is going to jump on stage in any time now. Picking up on that point, Dr. Tedros, with the recent economic pressures being what they are, what are the best buys, tried and tested ways of making sure sports and physical activities are generally improving health? And how can the sports and the health sector work more closely together to scale up these efforts?
I think you're a bit nervous, so you don't have time, so I will try to be brief, although from the earlier, I was just going to say one thing which I missed, is the high-level meeting in September. I think that's very much related to leadership, and we have to use that opportunity, the high-level meeting in September during the UN General Assembly, as opportunity to push this agenda. Olympism 365 is an incredible initiative. This is about active lifestyle. It's reminding ourselves every single day. You know, sports and health cannot be just a one-time issue or a few times a year issue. We have to be reminded every day. So I think the high-level meeting could be a very good platform to mobilize political commitment for this and the Let's Move campaign that we have. Because with political commitment, the resources you're saying could come. The key is the commitment of countries, but it can be done when there is commitment. I'll tell you one example. I studied in Denmark in 1988. This is 37 years ago. The first thing that impressed me in Copenhagen, was the cycle lanes and the number of cyclists. I was so amazed. At that time, the link between health and NCDs was not really clear. You know, people, even in WHO, people were smoking. The Director General was smoking. It's true. 1988, mind you. So at that time they had, and still have, incredible lanes to encourage cycling. And any country, by the way, can do it. So in terms of finance, or some of the best buys can be done are this. And then the other thing is parks, for instance. With less investment, countries, cities can do it. And that could be for walking. If you do cycling, if you do walking, then the 365, it's continue moving and active lifestyle. So it can happen, but it needs spaces. Without space, it cannot happen. Then, because you don't have time, I will make it short. One way of mobilizing resources for many of the things we do is mindset change. Every time we think about some projects to do in some country, we say, oh, who is going to be the donor? But there are local resources that can be used. So communities, if they believe in the projects, they can mobilize resources. And from the government side, they complain about not having money. They can tax alcohol and tobacco and to finance health and sport and health. And it's possible to do that. So that could be another, the financing problem that you have said. And of course, we are in a serious financial problem in WHO. Of course, the last 7 years we have been trying to broaden our donor base. And what we have understood is there are ways to mobilize fresh resources. And it's happening. It's the only thing is open our eyes and look for them. And there is. And for this one, this is sports and health. I think they are interdependent. The resource that's allocated for health is for sport, and the sport is for health. So that would be key. And the other is I want to, there are many initiatives, by the way. I said, let's move. There is the Olympism, but there is now what we have started also working with Qatar on sports and health. And that could also be an impactful one because Qatar is taking it as a legacy project. And I would like to use this opportunity actually to thank the princess for joining us here today. So thank you very much. The finances, if there is political commitment, that's the start of everything. Anything is possible. And that's why let's use the high-level meeting, the success of it between now and September, make it happen, and then start from communities. We can mobilize resources, which is enough to run all these incredible projects that we have. And again, I would like to thank my brother Thomas in your new chapter. I wish you all the very best. You have been a great leader. And to my sister Christina, welcome. And thank you so much for your leadership. And during the Paris Olympic, we had some issues, problems, and she came and said, what's the problem? I said, no, it's okay. No, tell me. Then she resolved it. And then my family knew I'm coming to meet her. Oh, the president is very nice. She's amazing. Because they remember that day. And what I see then is the Olympic family operates as one and doing something which was nothing to do with her actually during the Olympic. And everybody doing its share to make the Olympics succeed. And that's also teamwork. And I was so much happy to see that. It's not a small thing, and even my family noticed it. That's all the Olympic family behaves. Teamwork, and solve the problem, even if it's not their area of work. So thank you so much, and really an honor to join you. Thank you.
Thank you. And as our president mentioned and Dr. Tedros mentioned, we do have Olympic Day coming, so let's move. Make sure you invite a friend, go for a walk, go for a run, and get involved in it as well. But thank you, Dr. Tedros, for reinforcing WHO's commitment to working closely with the IOC and the wider sports movement. That partnership is key to tackling the global inactivity. And for Remy, thank you so much for confirming AFD and the Financing Commons Network ongoing backing for sports as a powerful tool for development. Thank you both. Thank you very much.